I've tried to avoid the Sheryl Swoopes topic, but it's become such a big story that I think it's necessary to cover in the midst of all of this drama and unnecessary nonsense. Really, like, right? It's unnecessary. All of this. Because here's the thing. This should be Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark. You see Cynthia Cooper, a legend, like Swoopes, with Kelsey Mitchell, with Caitlin Clark there. Of course, Cynthia Cooper, a former teammate of Sheryl Swoopes. But instead, we have whatever's going on here where Swoopes continues to double and triple down on her approach to Clark, which is surely going to lead to bad results. Surely going to lead to bad results. And it's unfortunate because I preface all of my commentary on Swoopes by saying she is indeed a basketball legend. She set records. She won championships. She won MVPs. She's in the Hall of Fame. But because of whatever this issue is with Caitlin Clark, that may not be the first thing people think about when they think about Sheryl Swoopes, and that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. And not mentioning her on the broadcast, not mentioning Clark as part of the Fever's turnaround on the season, going way back to incorrectly stating facts about Caitlin Clark breaking the NCAA scoring record and continuing now. That's what, the Nancy Lieberman thing is what blew this up again. Nancy Lieberman on with Stephen A. Smith and had this to say about
that said,
relationship with Sheryl Swoopes.
That said, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate. And I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend. And I said, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody, but you do have to get the statistics right. I mean, facts matter. And if you just get ahead of this and just say, hey, I made a mistake on my numbers, then this thing is over and everybody respects you for your opinion. And, you might like Boston. I might like the Yankees. It's okay to have difference of opinions. Well, she got upset with me on the phone. And I was like, Sheryl, I'm not doing anything to hurt you. I'm just sharing. We're talking. And so our relationship it pretty much is not happening at this point. I tried to talk to her at the Final Four. Right. She didn't want to talk to me. My life's going to be good or great with or without Sheryl Swoopes in my life. I'd rather have her in it. But let me tell you the difference.
Right. And, of course, that's in reference to the thing that really blew all this up in the first place, which was Swoopes on with Gilbert Arenas and saying this about the scoring record that Lieberman just referenced.
Question for me. Because I say this, yes, records are made and set to be broken. But if you're going to break a record, this isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record.
Which just wasn't true, right? And to Lieberman's point, and I don't know the relationship between Lieberman and Swoopes and this whole soap opera thing, really, I don't even know what to do with it, to be honest with you. But that was just wrong. The problem is it's continued, right? And if you go back, you can sort of see the root of it, I think. This clip, I had trouble watching this, to be honest with you. This is back when Clark had broken Sheryl Swoopes' tournament scoring record.
Say it.
Please.
All right, so I set the record in 5 games, right?
Yeah.
Because back then, we had a first-round bye.
Oh,
so
okay.
we didn't get to play. I didn't get that 6 games. So I set the record in 5 games.
Yeah.
So to me, yes, she broke the record, but she did it in 6 games.
It took her extra game.
Well, I'm just saying.
You can say that.
No, listen. If I have 6 games,
the record's different.
Well, I'm gonna have.
So it seems like, she went on to give credit to Clark in that clip for scoring 40 points, but it seems like all this comes back to the records, or at least that was the root of it, right? And Cheryl's just been combative online. She even shared private text messages that she apparently exchanged with Clark, where it's worth pointing out Caitlin was extremely complimentary and polite and accepted the apology. And it would have been over then, honestly. It would have been over then if that was indeed the end of it. But since then, we've had more critical comments. Since then, you had the, Clark pushes off. She also said she shoots 40 times a game to get her points. Since then, you had the podcast where she credited all of the other Fever players, but not Caitlin Clark, which led to the feud with Stephen A. Smith in the first place. She said that the Fever would make the playoffs, or could make the playoffs still without Caitlin Clark, even though they had the number 1 pick in the draft, which is how they selected Caitlin Clark. She was on the broadcast of the game when the players of the week were announced, and it appeared to me that the play-by-play announcer laid out so that Swoopes could make commentary, and she neglected to say anything. The silence was awkward when Clark came up. And then Lieberman takes the same spot in the broadcast booth. I don't know what exactly happened behind the scenes, but my assumption at the time was they replaced Swoopes because she couldn't be professional. Swoopes, I think, said online that's not the case. Lieberman did say she was called in at the last minute. Again, a bunch of soap opera stuff. But it was a sharp contrast to hear Lieberman be so effusive in her praise for Clark in, the opposite realm of what we've seen from Swoopes. And, it's not going to end well for Sheryl Swoopes here if she can't be professional and objective. And that's the biggest issue. She can, think what she thinks. She can provide basketball analysis. She can be critical of Clark, but she can't be unprofessional and biased. And that is what people are taking umbrage with. And the whole thing does make me uncomfortable. I'm covering it, so it is what it is. It's a topic of interest. A lot of people care about it, clearly. But we're witnessing a public crash out from Sheryl Swoopes, and that's not something I take any satisfaction from at all.